Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Divine Honey Podcast. I'm your host, your friend, your daily inspiration, Tamika Johnson. If this is your first time tuning in, the show is about human experiences. This includes thought provoking conversations and, most importantly, our Divine Honey guests who come on each and every week, share stories about love, life, journey, and purpose. If you're watching on the live or on the replay, if you feel inspired, please leave a question or a comment. We're excited to hear from each and every one of you. Subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to hit the notification button because you don't want to miss another episode of Divine Honey or any of the other amazing videos on this channel. So this week, I would like you to welcome our Divine Honey guest. Please welcome Brianne Johnson. She's an influencer and a brand partner for Young Living. She will be here today sharing her journey about how she prepared for birth for her second child in her late 30s. She's excited to share all the things she has learned. So welcome, Brianne. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy you're here.
I know. We made it.
Yes. So for all of you guys who don't know, that Brianne's actually my sister-in-law, and she is responsible. She is the vessel for my nephew, Kingston, little Kingling, little
Yeah.
baby boy, Wild Man Johnson.
All
So
the
she,
things.
he's all the things. So so we are going to talk about. I guess my first question. Well, before we get that, I want to say again, welcome and thank you for coming
Yes.
and sharing with us.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So, Brianne, how and when did you know you wanted to have another child?
Whew. I don't know that I really knew I wanted to have another child. I knew it was a possibility. I had Landon when I was in like my first year of teaching. I was 22, 23 years old in my 20s. And so then I became a single mom and I really learned what it meant to be being a mom by yourself. And so it was definitely a journey. And so um, I knew there were parts of the future that meant I would possibly meet somebody and have a child again. But there was still a little bit of that fear because it's a lot of work having a child and it's really hard doing it alone. Um, so it wasn't probably until I started feeling really secure with Tim, and we talked a lot about what kind of parents we would be and what kind of support person he would be. And I just needed to know that we were kind of on the same page of parenting, and also that we were on the same page of what it meant to be a mom and dad together, a husband and wife, because I really didn't want to ever lose that strong foundation that we built with each other, that sometimes people lose sight of when they have a baby. And so probably when I really felt secure with Tim, I trusted in him. I knew that he was going to be an amazing father. He's an amazing stepdad. So when I started noticing that he was the one, I got that feeling. And then I kind of said to him, okay, well, I am kind of old. I am older than him. So we got to figure this out, bud. And so I would say probably when I started feeling secure with Tim. Otherwise, it wasn't really like a thought. I was fine with just one. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I love that you brought up the fact of those discussions of what type of support person you're going to be for me, because we don't talk about, I think when we think of like fathers, we think of like the old tradition, you provide, that's financially, this and that, but we don't talk about support. I think that's getting more common to talk about.
Yeah, it was truly a game changer for us. And we would be in situations and we would see things play out, and then we would say, okay, how would we handle that? And it helped us like get on the same page, but it also helped us learn how to be each other's partner. Like we are strong believers and communicators, even when it's hard, and even when the person probably doesn't maybe want to hear it, but was the foundation that we built with each other. And so we just really talked through things. And, when things got hard, we made a plan. And So yes, definitely communication. You can't plan for everything, obviously, but at least you can create that foundation of communication, and we know what each other needs when it gets to that point. So it makes things a lot easier, for sure.
Yes, for sure. So, what was the first step? What did you do to get ready, or really to prepare to do it, the
Yeah.
pregnancy?
So actually, if I rewind a bit, in my 20s, I would say I started preparing my body before I kind of knew all the things I needed to do, because I started having a lot of stomach issues in my 20s, which then had me in and out of doctor's office, digestive disease doctors, all these people, and I was trying all these
Mhm.
things. And I actually, after that whole journey, I ended up, my mom went to a Young Living conference. It's essential oils, and she met a chiropractor there. And that truly was my journey of when I started to really look at my health, when I really started to understand hormones, when I was understanding how things were connected. And so as I was healing my stomach, I was beginning to learn about how your stomach is also connected to your hormones. And she was really educating me. I also went to a nurse practitioner, and she was really educating me on how the liver regulates your hormones. And so, if we, over time, I don't know if you ever heard the word toxic load. And so, our body just over time, what we're eating, what we're exposed to, your load kind of gets more and more as you get older. And if your liver isn't doing a good job of cleansing, you can imagine you're probably pretty toxic on the inside. And so she really was like educating me on um, products and food and things I put in my body to ensure that I was balanced. And so from there, I had this in the back of my mind, right? Like I knew, but I'll be honest, I didn't have like this strong push of like, okay, Brianne, get it together, eat right, do this, whatever. And
Mhm.
so, um, but then I started having like hormone imbalances side effects. And I was like, you know what? I don't like this. Like, I don't like being sluggish. I don't like all the things that kind of were side effects of estrogen dominance. And so that's really kind of, I started realizing like, I need to get this together. So I stopped having these symptoms. And so if you think about hormone disruptors, um, you can kind of Google this very easily, but I'll just rattle off like a couple hormone disruptors could be our sugar and flour. So the gluten, right? The gluten that I was eating was affecting my hormones, and it tastes so good, but like it wasn't benefiting my body. Caffeine, alcohol, stress, perfumes, makeup, heavy metals. Think about us as women, right? We at least put anywhere from like, let's say 12 products on our bodies a day, right?
Mhm.
Of those 12 products, there's about 168 different chemicals in them, depending on what you buy, right? And so during that time is when I slowly started what they call switching and ditching. So I did small. And so I think, again, this is why I usually tell our friends or other women that I talk to, you should be thinking about preparing your body for birth like 2 years or a year before you even think about it, because you just never know this day and age, right? And so
Mhm.
one of the things I started doing was like I switched from using perfume and now I use essential oils. I really tried to think about our cleaning supplies, sunscreen, even sunscreen, right?
Mhm.
I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped drinking alcohol. So like some of these things I was preparing prior to, but like I really noticed when Tim and I wanted to have a baby is really when I was like, okay, I'm over the age of 35. I know that they're going to consider me advanced maternal age, right? And so I was really like, I need to figure this out. Um, And there's also the statistic, even if you search the CDC right now, um, women aged 15 to 49 with no prior births. So this really wasn't me, but I had heard a lot of women that had infertility with their second child, which kind of makes sense if you go back to the toxic load, right?
Yes.
But women that have had no prior experience, 1 in 5 are unable to get pregnant after 1 year of trying. So, I mean, think about us women. We sit around a circle of a table and you're sitting there with five of your best friends, right? One of you, at least one of you could be struggling to get pregnant. And then within that 1 of 5, 1 in 4 women in that group have difficulty getting pregnant and staying pregnant. And so those were like statistics. I was like, this is not okay in our world, right? Like it makes me so sad. And a lot of it, we we just kind of accept that statistic and just like
Hmm.
roll with it. And I'm like, there has to be a reason why, right? And so when we said, okay, we're ready, what I wish I would have done, rewinding back, was I wish I would have right out the gate went to a midwife or your OB and said, okay, I'm ready to have a baby. What do I need to do? Because I felt like I did some researching and I would ask people, but lots of people would just be like, oh, just have sex every day or just do this. And I was just like, you get all these like things. And then you're like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And so I highly recommend, because just going to them really like helped me realize actually that's not best to have sex every day. And like, how do you, help both the health of you and your partner? And so one of the things is definitely go see somebody right away, or even if you're not ready, have those conversations. Cause I didn't even realize like the whole ovulation and
Hmm.
timing. Whew, that is a whole thing if you don't know about it. Um, but then also, I told myself, um, and I told Tim, it's going to take us a year to have a baby. Like we just kind of laid that foundation. Um, because even though at times it didn't help that I told myself that, it
Hmm.
really was something that was helpful, because even at times when we would get frustrated, Tim would always like, I would be in tears sometimes, because it did almost take us a year.
Yeah.
And I would be like, "Oh my god," I felt like I was doing everything, and Tim would always remind me, like, "God has a plan for us." God, it's all in his timing, and, like, sometimes even when he would say that, it would relieve me of just, like, thinking, because stress also is a real thing when you're trying to have a baby, right? You don't wanna be stressed out. Um, and the ironic thing, kind of going back to the switching and ditching, is if you've ever met somebody going through infertility treatments,
Hmm.
um, at least the handful that I know, everybody's different, right? But like the handful that I know, they were told to stop wearing perfume, look at ingredients, and like eat certain things. And I'm like, why are we not telling all people to do this, right? Like, so I mean, I think that for me was really eye-opening. Like, okay, I need to keep doing this. I did a liver cleanse. That was, I think I lasted 3 days, but it was really, the liver cleanse was just like eating very whole foods. It wasn't like, um, but it really detoxed me off sugar, and that was real. So I really tried to watch what I ate.
Hmm.
Therapy was also really important for me.
Yes.
Yeah, you and I talk about therapy a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew that there's a lot of stress sometimes going into having a baby, as you're planning it. And I knew that I needed her to talk through things, to keep my mental health. Because again, I've heard many stories where people stopped trying having a baby and then they just had it because the stress wasn't there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and then, like I said, I stopped drinking the alcohol. And here's the deal. I was drinking alcohol when Landon was conceived. So I know some women, I know you can get pregnant but for me in my age, I felt like that was something that was important to me. And then I really watched my gluten intake. Um, so those were kind of really the things I would say going up to thinking about having the baby. I did a little different things once I got pregnant, but um going up to thinking about having a baby, those were things that were like really stuck out to me that I really tried to make a point to do.
Brian, there was something you had brought up, like going to midwives. I know that some people think maybe that's not accessible. How accessible was it to get a midwife? And did you find anything where someone that maybe might be in a lower income bracket where it could be accessible to them as well?
Mm-hmm.
And would you encourage that?
Yeah. So our midwives was at the hospital. So to be honest, you could walk down the hallway and you could go right to the OB or you could go left to the midwives. That's how accessible it was for me. I believe they I think anybody, because it just took our insurance. I think if you wanted to go maybe have a home birth with a midwife, that might be different. Your out of pocket pay, but everything that we did, we went through insurance. And I can't make assumptions for the other people that were in there, but I'm assuming that they would take all forms of insurance, Medicaid, all of that. It was definitely very accessible. And the reason why I chose the midwife route is just I just liked the way that they practiced. I liked the calming atmosphere. I knew that I was advanced maternal age,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to be told that I was an old mom every time I went to the
Yeah.
doctor. So, and I just loved, I never felt rushed when I was with them. They talked to me, they talked to Tim. The thing, we've talked about this, Tamika, before, but the time I really realized they were for me is it was like one of our beginning times together, and they were talking about doulas. And they said, "Have you thought about a doula?" And I was like, "Well, I was reading into them." I had actually saw on Facebook, there's a group that was just created at the time, I believe. It was fairly new. It was called the Black Collective Doulas. I think it's
Mhm.
something like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And while we were there, the midwives gave me their list of doulas. And then she had on a sheet of paper the Black Collective Doulas. And that to me was so important because she saw Tim in that, right? Like she wasn't
Mhm.
just thinking of me as a woman having a baby. Like she looked at my husband and put his identity into our support. And so at that moment I knew like these are the people for me because they see my whole family. And so that was
So,
really, yeah, that was cool.
so for some people who don't know, what's a midwife and then what's a doula? Because there's a lot of people who don't think they have access to this. And I'll
Yeah.
even tell you here in Arizona, there are
Mhm.
people out here doing it. And for
Mhm.
people who are having biracial children and for Black women, they're
Mhm.
trying to get
Yeah.
us more in that realm,
Yes.
because we tend to, in the hospitals, bad things happen to women of
Yeah.
color and some women who are bringing children of color into the world.
Yep. Yep.
There's been issues. So,
Yeah.
so I guess the difference between the midwives and the doula, for people so they can look into these things and know they have other options.
Yeah. So the midwife kind of explained it to me. They're obviously there. The midwife is obviously there for everybody, but
Mhm.
the midwife during birth, kind of the way they described it a little bit was the midwife is there for the baby, the doula is there for the mom. Um, Obviously they do help, but experiencing one without a doula and one with a doula is literally life changing. Um, because we went to our appointments obviously all the time with the midwife, but the doula towards the end, we it was during COVID, but what we did was we would Zoom with her, and she would do things with me to get my body right. And so when I was pregnant, that was another thing I did. I did chiropractic care to help keep my body in alignment to ensure that the Kingston was in the right position. And then the doula gave us, I think it's called spinning babies. So it's just different moves that you can do, your partner can do. She taught Tim a lot of ways to help support me when I was in labor. She'd check in on me. She would give me ideas of things to eat, just so many resources, videos. I will say another amazing thing that I did too, was watch videos. Our doula, name is Jasmine, and I can share her information too. But
Yes.
that is Jasmine's, one of her passion is low income families and mothers, and especially women of color. And so that was one of the things I said, if there's a woman of color that needs you right now, I want you to pick her over me, right? Because of the health disparities that you just talked about. Like, I want to ensure. Um, but she said, like, she does scholarships. She will provide, if expense is a thing. Jasmine has ways around that, and so you definitely kind of have to research,
Yeah.
word of mouth. That's why I really, on my Facebook page, I really tried to share the Black Doula Collective. I tried to share Jasmine information, because I wanted people to know that those options were out there, in hopes that, you know, it was really important for me when we went to give birth that someone in the room looked like Tim, because I wanted him to feel just as supported as I did. And so, absolutely. I feel like, in Iowa, in my area, both the midwife and doula that I worked with, I definitely feel are
Mhm.
options for people with income restrictions and different things like that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I do want to know, once you said it took about a year for Kingston to come.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first knew, oh, it happened? What was your feeling? What was the vibe between you and Tim when it finally
Um,
happened?
yeah. Well, I was pretty sick, but we were excited. Tim's not a crier, so let me just first say this: Tim is not a crier. You know this, Tamika. Um, and when I told him, I surprised him and I videotaped it, and he like kind of started tearing up. But like, we were so surprised because it took so long. And
Mhm.
I mean, not as long as some people go through. So, but it took a long time, and we just stopped and said a prayer, and we thanked God. There was still definitely moments in there that I was fearful, right? Just going
Mhm.
through thinking about being a mom again. Different things that I probably had to work through, but we talked a lot again. We still talked a lot. What are we going to do when we're parents? One of the things that was super important for me was like telling him what it's going to look like after Kingston was born, and the support that I needed, and like postpartum things for him to look for, because I wanted that to be also. Um, but we also took birthing classes with Broadlawns. The nurses, Michelle and Karen, actually amazing. Like, that experience was amazing, and they showed so many birth videos. And Tim was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I was like, "There's no backing out now." So, um, I we were definitely like excited and surprised and all the emotions. But yeah, we watched a lot of birthing, not only for me, but also for Tim, just so we knew like what to
Mhm.
expect. And this was going to be my first natural birth, so I knew it could be a bit different than my experience with Landon. So I wanted to prepare my mind as much as possible. Yeah.
So during the pregnancy, were you sick, or
Yeah.
um, it,
Yeah.
it was a it was rough?
Yeah, I would say I didn't wasn't as sick with Land as I was with Landon, but I had lots more migraines with Kingston.
Mhm.
So super sick, but with Landon I lost a bunch of weight. With Kingston I did not. I'd
Mhm.
actually gained a lot of weight. But otherwise the pregnancy, he was healthy. Um, and the nurses too would say, like, that's another thing I liked about the midwives. They would tell you, like, do you want this test? Do you want this ultrasound?
Mm. I'm
Normally
glad you
toward
brought that up.
Yeah. Um, with advanced maternal age, they start doing more testing towards the end. And some of that I didn't want to have. I just wanted to trust my body. And they gave me the resources to read up on it. And they truly let me decide and let Tim decide what we wanted to do in those last stages. They also gave me the option if I wanted to be induced. I didn't want to be induced. I wanted to go naturally when Kingston was ready. They gave me the option to not, there's the orange nasty drink that you drink for the glucose testing.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have to do that. I did it with Landon because I didn't know any better. With them, I drank like a naked juice and I had eggs. I had these like egg bites or whatever before. And when I got my test results back, she's like, "You have like perfect scores." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, it's because I had some good juice and I ate some good breakfast before. Last time I just drank the nasty drink." So it was nice to know that there's other options as I was going through the process. So yeah, that was another benefit of having them.
And then you like having a natural birth, you healed quicker. Then you leave the hospital the next day. I was like, I thought you were supposed to stay in the hospital for like 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
Y'all left the next day.
that was kind of nuts for me. So like I said, natural birth was new for me. I really wanted to have it because my experience with Landon was actually kind of traumatic I didn't like the epidural feeling. I didn't like feeling drugged up. I had read some different things, some side effects.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you know what? Women all over the world are having natural births, right? Like my mom that like epidurals weren't even an option and I was like, I can do this. And so um one thing I did learn was I really think every woman should prepare for a natural birth because you never know. Like I've talked to some women that didn't plan for a natural birth because they were going to get an epidural and then they got there too late or something happened and
Mm.
they literally freak out. And so what do you do what do you do with your body when you freak out? Your body tenses up. So here you are trying to push a baby out and your body's like in tense mode. And so I was like, women really need to prepare for all, epidural or. And so I really surrounded myself in a community of women that loved natural birth. And when I tell you there's a community out there of natural birth lovers, there's a community. And I get it now because I'm like, that was so amazing. I still am traumatized by Landon's birth and he's 14 years
Wow.
old.
Wow.
Kingston is a year old and I am like, that was the most beautiful experience ever. I I think I was like 41 weeks 41 weeks pregnant. We had just moved into our house. Thank goodness we made it.
Yeah.
I started getting contractions the one morning and I labored in the bathtub. Laboring in a tub in water is glorious.
Is it? Because
Oh
I
yeah.
always wonder, have you ever been in pain? I was like, I don't know if I want to be in pain and wet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yes, I just felt like it was more calming. And I will say I love baths anyways. So, um, the drive in from laboring at home to Broadlawns was like the longest drive ever. I did at one point feel like I might have the baby in the car, but,
well,
um, so yeah, we got there. They checked me. I was at 8 centimeters. And so that was another cool thing. I guess they don't really check people anymore. At the ends, like they used to like check women to see how many centimeters they were, but that was something the midwives didn't do with me. I don't know if it's common practice, but they did check me to see how far I was along at the hospital. And so after that, I immediately got in the bathtub. And that is when Jasmine, our doula, got there. And so jumped in the bathtub and it just like, it went so fast. I mean, in the moment, obviously, I'm sure it didn't feel fast, but I
mhm.
remember being in the pool and Jasmine was like right there. I don't even know what Tim was doing, but Tim was also like, this is why we got Jasmine. As long as she knows what she's doing, I'll just sit back and watch. I'll use the fan. And so Jasmine would tell me certain positions to get into. So like yes, you can study for like a while and learn on these
Mhm.
positions, but for me in the moment, like I needed a coach. I needed somebody. And so
Mhm.
she told me to get in this one position. And I was like, that hurts. And she's like, yeah, that's how you do it. That's how we know he's getting down there farther and farther. And then I just remember I reached down and I was like, I can feel his head. And they're like, okay, get out, because I think in hospitals, at least in Iowa, you can't actually birth the baby in the water. So you do have to
Gotcha.
stand up out. And so I got out the next contraction. My water broke as he came out. And
Woo.
Tim was like, "Oh my gosh, it's a boy." Because we didn't know what we were having. And
Mhm.
so, like you said, um, the other most amazing thing ever, I think it's called golden hour. And so what it is the baby never you immediately birth the baby and then you put the baby on your chest. And Kingston never left my side um, for probably 2 hours. He was on my chest the whole time. And there's lots of benefits to that. It regulates the baby's temperature.
Aw.
They're better at breastfeeding and latching. And like that was true because Landon wasn't a good latcher and not a good breast wasn't good at breastfeeding, but Kingston really was. And I do think that was it. But when you
Oh.
said and then I had him, and then like what, 2, 3 hours later, they're like, "Do you wanna get up and have a shower?" And I was like, "What?" Like I can that was the part, like that's where the natural birth came in. They were just like, "Well, you're fine. Like you just had a baby," and we were only in the hospital for 24 hours, I think. We just had to wait for Kingston to go to the bathroom. He just had to go pee. Otherwise,
Oh.
we probably could have left earlier. But yeah, because I had a natural birth and I wasn't on any, drugs or anything, they were just like, "Okay, well, if you feel good." And I was like, "That's nuts."
That's insane. And you guys keep in mind, Kingston was supposed to be born what, March 8th? This
Yeah, I
dude didn't come out until the 15th.
yeah. He held tight.
He held tight.
Yep.
He held tight.
Yeah.
So now we're dealing with the word postpartum.
Yes.
Now
Yep.
that's coming. So how did you okay, so for some of us, what does that mean? And what did you experience? And how did you deal with it?
Yeah.
Questions in one.
Um, so I might not know the technical term of postpartum, but basically it's the period after having a baby. And some women experience like a lot of it, I think, again, talk to your healthcare professional because these are Brianne's
Yes.
terms. um, A lot of it is your hormones are fluctuating, right? You're running on very little sleep. And so a lot of women struggle with postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. And so I have a history of anxiety. A lot of previously it was due to like gluten and different things in my life that was happening. Caffeine really does affect my anxiety, but I still sometimes struggle just situational. And so that was one of the things when I went to the midwife, we talked about, and Tim was there. And I talked to my therapist and Jasmine, and I was like, tell me things that Tim can look for because I might not be able to notice it in the moment. And so, he was looking for times when I would be extra emotional, or if I
Mhm.
was getting down and out, or if I didn't want to shower for days, or if I was feeling some type of way towards Kingston. There's definitely a list of things to look for.
Mhm.
Um, and so for me, I would say lots of communication. I actually didn't have postpartum depression or anxiety. I didn't notice it until 4 months, and they call that the hormonal dump, I
Mm.
think, which I had never heard of, right? And so at 4 months is when I really started noticing anxiety coming into play, and again, it goes back to like I just told Tim, like, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel right. These
Mhm.
are and also you have to tell your partner what they can do for you, right? You can't just say, "Hey, I'm anxious right now." You need to tell them, "I need you to cook supper," or "I need you to tell me that I'm pretty," or like you need
Right.
to tell them what you need because they can't assume. And so um Tim was also really good. He's still to this day on like, especially Saturdays and Sundays, he will get up with Kingston and let me sleep in. And so one of the ways that we would do too is I would have pumped bottles. And so I could sleep, you know. So um I didn't have a whole lot of postpartum anxiety, but I made sure to keep a lot of the essential oils that I have that were emotional support. I wore those daily.
Mhm.
And then I tried to really watch what I was eating as well. I won't lie, I wasn't perfect by any means, but I just really tried to let people around me know, hey, just watch, like create that community, have that people that care about you, and really watch to see if you're struggling in any type of way. And you just have to ask for help, you know.
I
And then
love it.
again, going back to my therapist, right? She would check in on me. She would ask me postpartum questions that were different than previously. So that was nice.
Yeah, I love that you, like, speaking of therapy, that you stayed in it through your pregnancy because that's a shift. You're
Mhm.
about to shock your body and do it later in life, starting
Yeah.
over. And
Mhm.
so just even talking to her afterwards, so having that support of, and you doing it beforehand because now this person knows you and knows your
Right.
patterns. And so, and I will add on that, like, dealing with whatever trauma, personal trauma you've had before even um,
Yeah.
having Kingston or starting the
Mhm.
process,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think once you get older, we have the luxury of doing that, of
Yes.
dealing with stuff, and then can
Mhm.
make that decision. So that's really commendable. So just wanted to put
Mhm.
that out there.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely a game changer. Mhm.
So now Kingston is a year old and he's on the move.
Yeah.
He
He's on the
plays
move.
like he has a second shift job.
I know.
He eats for fun.
Oh, yeah, all the time. He's eating all the time. People are like, "The only videos that you take of him is when he's eating." I was like, "Well, 1, I like to watch him eat, but 2, he's
Yeah,
always eating."
always eating.
Always.
So I did mention in the beginning that you are an influencer, a brand partner for Young Living.
Mhm.
Explain to us what Young Living is.
Yeah. So it's known for the essential oils, but it also has skincare products, supplements, baby products, so many different things that was really what opened my eyes to really starting to look at ingredients, sunscreen, things like that. Which, side note, it was funny. I saw something somewhere that said, "Hey, do you guys have a baby sunscreen for Young Living?" And they're like, "Well, when your product's non-toxic, you don't need a baby sunscreen. You all can use it, right?" And so, um, the thing I like about Young Living is I don't have to research things, right? Like, so I can just be like, "Hey, I need
Mhm.
some face lotion right now." I don't have to be like, "Wait, what's in these ingredients?" And so I've been with them actually for over 7 years, and I just use the products. I don't try to, like, knock on people's door or jump in people's DM and be like, "Hey, girlfriend, you need some oils." That's weird to me. I just feel uncomfortable doing that. So I really just like to share how I use it with people,
Mhm.
and I'm just really passionate about helping people um, and educate them and having them research, right? Don't take what I say as the word. Go research it yourself. Go ask your doctors or go find professionals that do this for a living. But the power of somebody else kind of like opening the door or making you aware, because like I said, it's not something we typically talk about or know about. And so I think that's the power of surrounding yourself around people that you can learn from. I've
Mhm.
learned from a lot of people, and a lot of people have helped me to get to where I'm at professionally, personally, family wise. And so that's why I just really enjoy helping other people, just kind of like that giving back piece. Yeah.
So, what's the one solid advice, or it could be encouragement, that you
Mhm.
would give someone who is thinking about having a child in 40, 30 plus,
Yeah.
even getting, girl,
Um,
some of us is working on doing it in our 40s. So, what
that's
advice?
right. That's right. I would say birth is a beautiful thing, and women are made to give birth, right? Like we, that's in my mind, that's how God created us. So whatever you believe in, and so it's powerful to surround yourself around women that love to talk about childbirth.
Mhm.
We're all different kinds of mothers, right? Some women are like, give me 80 children. I'm like, give me one, that's all I can handle, so like, but I do think sometimes our society has this fear around birth and they scare you, and if you watch videos, the woman's always giving birth screaming and "Rah!" Right, like everyone's going nuts. um Definitely just surround yourself around people that loved that process, that empower women. You are strong. You can do this.
Mhm.
There are people to support you. You don't have to do this alone. Just really find that community. And the other thing is believe in your body. Talk nicely to your body. That was another thing I read about. I said I would talk, like one of the things said, talk to your uterus. Cool. I'll talk to her all day. Like I was just like, I just spoke affirmations and positive things to myself. Brianne, you are a strong woman. Your body is made to create, babies, and so
Mhm.
really just like shifting your mindset. Our my midwife actually had two babies in her 40s, and so
Oh,
just
wow.
listening to her, yeah, I was like, it's okay. Like I'm not, I, and so that was really a big point for me to realize, you know what, we can do this after 35. We aren't bad, or we aren't rotten or whatever,
Right.
like
Jerry,
we're
what do
still,
they call y'all? Geriatric?
yeah, like we
Like,
still got strong stuff going on.
so, Brian, I like to end each episode with, my divine honey
Oh yeah.
questions. I got 9 for you. So, first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's your favorite word?
Y'all. I love y'all.
Uh, What's your least favorite word?
Fat. I don't like the word fat.
What is your theme song? What song represents you?
Um, I do my hair, toss, check my nails. Baby, I don't even know what is that? Yeah, I like that one. That's the one that come to mind.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter. I love when the guys, Tim, Landon, Kingston, and anytime they're belly laughing or laughing, I love that sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Whiny. Like I don't like, or baby talk. I hate baby talk. Like anytime kids talk babyish, it's like nails on the chalkboard. Sorry, y'all.
Okay.
Mm.
What's your favorite oil?
Ooh, patchouli. I love me some. Well, it's Digize first, but like the smell, Digize I put on my stomach, but the smell, what I wear for perfume every day is patchouli.
Okay, okay. And what motivates you?
Um, when I grew up, my mom always preached to live your life, always be, always push yourself to like be at your happiest, right? And so at any moment in my life when I didn't feel at my best or happy, I did something about it because she really instilled like happiness. And so what motivates me is to continually be happy, because if I am happy, if I am strong, then I am a good mother, I am a good wife, I'm a good friend,
Mhm.
it all. And so happiness, I would say happiness motivates me.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Your purpose.
Um, I think my purpose is to be calming, um, and to be calming towards others. I mean, Tim's usually the calm one between us, but when I think about the world, I just really try to be a calm presence for people and just break down when life is hard, you know? So, like,
Mhm.
how do we just ground ourselves in the moment to get to an easier place? And I can't say personally I'm always there, but I would say I really try to do that, model that for my son. Just love people for who they are. You know, we're all different, but that's the
Mhm.
beauty in us. Appreciate the difference, and whew, that's a hard one. Like purpose, I think like well, I guess when I think about professionally, I really always try to be calming when I go into schools, um, and I think my purpose at home is to just try to be really calm, especially around Kingston and Landon, but just show them like so much love. And not only love within our family, but love for humans because Lord knows we need a lot of that.
Yes, yes, we do. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Sun, moon, or stars?
Sun, because it's rainy right now and I love me some Mexico. So sun.
You're ready.
I know.
And then I said I had 9, but I actually have 10.
Okay.
So if you were to meet God at the pearly gates, what would
hmm
you think he would say to you?
Why does this make me like a little emotional? I feel like, and maybe this is what I would want him to say to me. I would just want him to say, I'm proud of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
and he is.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know why
so
that
he
made me emotional.
does what that's what we want. That's
Yeah.
he's internal love, and we just want to
Mhm.
make him proud that we
Yeah.
did well in the world.
Mhm.
We just all want to do well in the world.
Amen.
Yes. So, oh my gosh, you guys. I do want to thank everyone who tuned in. I want to give a shout out. Tim, her husband, my brother is on.
Yay.
Her mother, Mary Jo, is on. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if anyone else, if you're watching the replay, and anyone else that's on, just drop a comment. Say, hey, girl,
Yeah.
hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
That's like I'm here.
That's right.
So you can find Brianne. She's on Instagram. She's on Linktree
Mhm.
and then on Facebook, and she has a YouTube channel. So all of that is in the description, you guys. But also, I will put that in the comment.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so it's been
Yep.
so it's visible. So please check her out because she does really cool content. She girl, you know all the things. You know where all the goods are, all
I
the
try.
products.
I try.
And it's good stuff too.
Yeah.
So check her out. Um, yeah, and again, just leave any questions, comments, good vibes, and thank you, Brianne, for joining and doing this. Do you have any parting words for our guests? Or you're the
Um,
guest for our audience.
just thank you, and if there's any way I can help you, I would love to share resources. I'll definitely share our doula's name, our midwives. Um, there was a protocol I forgot to share that I did use to help. I found from somebody else struggling to get pregnant. It was like drinking 2 teas, progesterone cream, zinc that Tim took, and another supplement. So definitely, I love sharing resources. And so if you want to know my therapist, if you want to know how to connect to black or a woman of color doula, you know, I'm sure Jasmine has connections or may know. So I'm here if you need me.
Yay. Well, thank you all for tuning in. And remember, please hit that like, subscribe, share this episode. Also, you can listen to this on Spotify and
Yay.
Apple if you just want the audio version. That will be uploaded by tomorrow. So check that out. And until next time, peace and blessings. And you guys be safe out there. Bye, guys. Thank you, Brian.
Yep. Thank you.